This is the Alden Report.
Today's episode is brought to you in part by Wicked Happy. The way you live your life depends on your outlook, and theirs is simple. Be Wicked Happy. Wicked Happy provides you with apparel to make you smile. So if you want to be wicked happy and you want to look wicked cool, then visit wickedhappy.com, and at checkout, enter in the code RADIO for an additional 15% off your entire order. Again, visit wickedhappy.com, apparel to make you smile.
This is the Alden Report.
All right, well, my name is Mike Alden. We are here in Blue Vase Studios. I'm looking a little different. I'm growing out the beard. I got the grays coming in, but I'm super excited for a couple reasons. One, I mean, look at this backdrop. Look at how sexy this is. I did it myself, added in a little bit of the blue there, matching with the blue shirt. But I'm super excited for my next guest. Now, I've only done this a couple times. She's been on before. Her name is Loral Langemeier. She is a total rock star, entrepreneur, businesswoman, motivational speaker, keynote speaker. I think she's like a 5-time New York Times bestselling author, good friend. She's here today. She's got another book coming out. But the interesting thing about this book, it's not about maybe me and you and how we can make money, but it's more about your kids or children's literacy as it relates to financial success. It's a really interesting topic because a lot of us don't really think about it kind of until it's too late. I have a 16-year-old, so I'm super excited to have her on. Please help me welcome Loral Langemeier. Loral, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks, Mike. It's great to be here. And you are correct. No one is teaching this. In fact, I just got back from Georgia Southern. I'm teaching the football team. And, I had to really bring it down. Like you think they have the pop-up tents with the credit cards, Mike, and everybody's running out to get a credit card. The minute they do their application wrong, those kids are backwards for years. And so there's so much I have to teach them about. You
mean that free Frisbee that I would get to sign up for an Amex card isn't really worth it?
Well, or you get a t-shirt. I mean, I don't know which one has more value to you. I kind of went for the t-shirt because I really wasn't a Frisbee golfer, but yeah, right. It's such an important topic, sharing lectures like my financial mom. And I don't think parents, so really what this is, I have to show it because I just got it. This is my author copy. It goes to bookstores on May 10th. It'll be everywhere. I don't know, 2 other women who are probably more passionate about it. And a lot of my mission got directed because of her, mentoring when I was on the Rich Dad Poor Dad team. And it's so critical. No one teaches this, Mike. No one teaches finance. No one teaches entrepreneurship. The men of Georgia Southern and just everybody. I mean, you're taught to go get a job, not be an entrepreneur. It's not even a choice. So this is the tell-all of my experiment of my 2 children who are 15 and 22, especially my 22-year-old. He went through a lot of experiments and blunders of me figuring out how to do this different than anybody. So it's really that whole story. And it's not just about millionaires, it's family financial literacy.
So, when you and I, again, we're friends, we talked offline about this and I was taking a look at what you're doing. I actually have another friend that has an app called Step. Actually, it's designed for financial literacy for kids. But when I think about, I want to step back. This isn't about me, but I want to step back. When I think about the way I grew up, and we grew up, poor, and we just was like, it's day to day. We're trying, as kids, we're just like, all right, how do we get, ice cream, little things. So we're just trying to survive, right? And then there's so many people still like that. But then there's also the middle class where they might be able to figure things out, where they could maybe save a little bit of money, but I guess my question is as parents who are still kind of struggling, don't really have a lot to save, and the kids see that, how do they teach their kids financial literacy when they don't know what to do either?
They need to read the book. So, can I
here's the answer.
No, that's the answer. So what they're not taught, and literally that's one of the objections or kind of questions we're having in a lot of the interviews in the press. And, as a parent, I mean, is this only for spoiled kids? Because, we went with my Millionaire Maker brand, which, so I'm clarifying the title a little bit because I think a lot of people look at that and say, well, I don't want to make my kids millionaires. Like, I'm not a millionaire. So what this is 0 to 21 and beyond. There's literally chapters 0 to 5, 6 to 7, 8, all the way 18 and beyond. Like, what do you do from get a company? So I grew up I grew up on a farm in Nebraska. So I didn't grow up with any of this either. So the families that are struggling, what I tell them to do, instead of saying we can't afford it and we're broke and don't ask for it, all that typical conversation, start thinking of the 21st century lemonade stand. I mean, this was really in my put more cash in your pocketbook, but as a family, you got to start. So the parents do have to be involved. This is a very family thing. The schools aren't going to teach it, not at the advanced levels. They might teach some basic personal, like how to balance a checkbook or something like that, but they're not going to teach us, Mike. You know it and I know it. Personally, I don't think a lot of this should be there. I think it's really a family's job. So for those families are struggling, how can they together make some more money? And I'm talking about little side hustle kinds of things, right? Like tutoring. I have a lot of moms and dads tutoring, right? Because of the homeschool and there's got to be supplemental. I have people who know how to play music. And like, if you're not in school or you're decided to now do part-time or independent or homeschool, whatever you decided to do, who's doing art, who's doing music, who's doing specialty training? There's so many things you can do. I mean, and then just the basic stuff, like I believe, Lake Tahoe area, we had a lot of people shoveling snow for extra money. We had my son, taught extra ski lessons. So I think the first thing to those parents is you have to engage. Like, do you want your life better? And then as you learn with your kids and you learn, financial literacy, which is really, as creating more money and doing that right, you're going to get there. But you have to at least make that first step of, I want our lives different. And that's where we're leaving Nebraska at 17. I just wanted to see if it could do it differently. And I did.
That makes sense. But what I think also about, when I was looking at, some of the topics that you cover in your book, Roth IRAs, college plans, things like this, savings accounts, bank accounts for kids. Talk a little bit about a minor who isn't 18, about what can they do? I mean, can a minor start a business? Can a minor open a bank account? Can a minor open an investment account? I think a lot of us think we can't.
That you can't. So, we have a bank coming out at the end of the month. But even there, because of banking has, KYC, which is know your customer, and the laws from 2008, 9, 10 really created a stricter group. So the kids can't. I think there's a lot of like one-off little apps here and there where the kid could get something, but it's not what we're talking about. So that's why I said the parent has to be involved. And so how that works is the parent, the parent has a company or the kid has a company, but the parent does have to own it. So at 18 years old, they can take it over, which is what I did. So I'll give you a little, trajectory. When Logan was born and I was single mom in 1999, he became an immediate employee of the company with a paycheck, got a Roth IRA. And by the way, you can only put $6,000 a year. So it's only $500 a month. The benefit of a Roth, if you know how to use them, is everything inside of it grows tax-free, tax deferred, i.e. crypto. Like they're kind of cool tools when you get to use them right. I use them for real estate properly.
All right, let me stop you there real quick, because that's what I was kind of getting at. So you're saying, how old was he?
0.
So he was 0. So you open up a custodial account? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, it's a custodial account.
Okay.
And so we will have a bank, and we already have an investment platform that is shifting to having custodial accounts. It's amazing now that we wrote this, Mike, and how involved with parents. Like I've been with adults, right? And like you're an adult teacher too. Like we've been with adults forever. So to kind of shift that, it's been interesting to have so many parents, email in and text in and call in and say, I can't get a custodian account. I have a woman in Georgia had to go to 7 banks to find one bank who would give her a custodial account. So it's not impossible. It's just different. So for those listeners, I just want to frame it the way I've been framing it, Mike. And, afterwards, you'll probably give me some coaching on some easier ways to frame it. Because what I teach what I teach is very alternative. And when I say alternative, if you think about medicine, right, there's the hospital, right? When you go to a hospital, because you got to go to ER, you go to ER, but you don't go to an alternative for acupuncture, hyperbaric chamber, like all the alternatives. If you got to have a surgery, you go to a surgery center. So there's Western and there's alternative medicine. Everybody seems to know what that is in the medical world. So now take those same concepts to the finance world. It's a very traditional finance system. If you walk into a Schwab, a Fidelity, any of a Chase, Citibank, and say, I want an LLC, they'll say, go online and get one, go to the Secretary of State. They're not going to do it. It's not that it can't be done, but there's not a one-stop shop for what I'm talking about. I have built it. I have a whole team. We're all diversified. So, it's interesting. I never knew how rough it was just because I did it. Like I already know the banks that can just do custodian accounts. I've never had a client have to go to 6 banks to get a custodian account. So I've kind of been educated backwards from parents saying, this is harder than you think out here. And so I'll be the first to acknowledge the alternatives are not hard. They're not difficult. They're different. And you have to want to do it. Just if you don't have a hyperbaric chamber in town, you might have to travel to go do it. If you want some special medical treatment, you're going to have to travel to go do it. So what we've created, Mike, is a one-stop shop. Right now, the makeyourkidsmillionaires.com is a pre-sale site. We're still in pre-sale. We launched May 10th. We'll keep launching through the month of May and June. Our site's going to turn into a resource site where you'll have tabs that say, okay, if you're a parent that doesn't know what you're doing, we're going to call it like the parent corner. You're going to have the parent like section of how do I become a parent and teach financial literacy, or just include it, is what I'm saying. You're not going to teach it. I'm going to teach it, but you have to endorse it. You're going to have to go get the bank accounts. You're going to have to open up the Roth. You're going to have to sign the paperwork until these kids are 18. Here's the genius, though, that I knew I was doing it, but it took me, like I had to get, Logan had to be 22. Like my son had to get to the place where, okay, this worked. And my daughter's 15 and it's working again. So I know I systemize it. It works. And what's interesting is not planning it from zero, but when he was 18, Mike, the company he worked for, I gave it to him. Like he signed in as my legal partner. So now we're partners in that company. Can you imagine the financial power of that? 18 years old, corporate credit, like his ability to get funding. I mean, I just launched him. I mean, he was going to launch on his own anyway, but just that one move, which I didn't know when I did it 18 years before. So when I say I experimented on a lot with lawyers and accountants around me saying, yeah, there's nothing wrong with it, but nobody's doing it. It's kind of like aggressive. As well, that's me. So it's a lot of stuff like that. And then like credit cards, like you said, you have a 16-year-old. My daughter's been walking around with a credit card at 12. I didn't give Logan his until he was 14 or 15, but they're responsible kids. I give my kids, like my theory is long leash, very short consequences. So, if they're responsible, let them run. And she's had a credit card. She has to do the responsible, she has to keep every receipt. She's got to do the matchup. She knows where the money comes from. If she wants it, she can use it to say, buy something online, but then she has to pay me back. Like but I'm training her from 12 to 18 before she walks out that door. She's going to have so much knowledge about, now she'll know about credit. She'll know how to do all that and pay bills properly and manage a budget. I hate that word, but they'll know that. Now, parents, here's what helps when you give them a very limited, like she's got a very limited range, only a couple $100 a month. Guess whose credit that's affecting and boosting? It's mine, because it's under my name, has to be. Then at 18, I will show her how to, and in fact, for your viewers, we'll have a video exactly how to even open an application, because that's where 18-year-old kids with no guidance go wrong. They open their first application and they put student, no income, kills them, right? So I go through a whole process of how do you open an application properly, is that you actually start, because once you kill your score by not even doing the application and getting denied, you usually drop into the 500-600s, and it takes you years, and usually your college experience you can't recover. Like I'm learning so much coaching and teaching college athletes now about the detail of what I did right and how critical that first move is. The biggest mistake of an 18-year-old is a credit card application.
Yeah, and they're all over the college applications. They're all over spring break, which is an interesting place because most of the time the kids are banged up. In a second, you had mentioned something earlier. Again, I haven't had an opportunity to read the book yet, but you had mentioned this term crypto. I think we've heard of that before. I know that you are an innovator. You're always stay on top of what's happening in the world. I want to talk to you about crypto. I want to talk to you about NFTs. I don't know if there's a play there in the book if you're teaching kids. But again, if you'd like some more information about Loral Langemeier, again, we've been on with Loral for a while. Look, if you've ever seen that program, The Secret, yeah, she's in that. She's a multiple, I think 5-time New York Times bestselling author. Her books are sold all over the world. She's a keynote speaker. She's a coach. She works with people, and she's helping people really just kind of level up. Now she's really focusing on kids and what kids need to do in order to be financially free. If you'd like some more information, just go to makeyourkidsmillionaires.com. When you go there, she's also has some bonuses. I think up to $1,500 worth of bonuses that you can get absolutely free just for pre-ordering the book right there. Again, depending on when you hear this, if you hear this after, maybe that bonus is gone. So I don't know, but you definitely want to go to makeyourkidsmillionaires.com. That's the title of the book, Make Your Kids Millionaires, the step-by-step guide to lead children to financial freedom. So you talked about crypto. Now everybody's in crypto. By the way, today is a hell of a day to be talking about the markets. But crypto, NFTs. I tell my daughter, my 16-year-old daughter, I wrote a book in 2014 called Crushing Crypto. I had a mining operation. I was trading Bitcoin before most people even knew what it was. And it was only because it was introduced to me. Luckily, let's talk about crypto and NFTs. Do you talk about that in the book? And what should we be paying attention to, especially kids?
We touch on it because I'm into it. I have a co-author. I want to speak to him really quick about him. His name's Kyle Beckman. He is a retired lieutenant colonel, 25-year Air Force fighter pilot trainer. The reason I mention that is the book is my story, single mom, 2 kids, traveled 6 to 7 continents, and Kyle Beckman, 25-year Air Force employee, and how he did it. We both gave our kids tools to be amazingly successful without us, not spoiled brats, really smart, right? So I needed to frame that. So we touch on it because he's not into it that much. He's getting into it, and his story wasn't about that. Mine was. So inside my Roth, right, tax-free, tax-deferred, while back, I bought Bitcoin at 4, right, and a little under, and then a little over, and so I kind of loaded ours up. So you know what that did, and that's tax-free, tax-deferred. So I mention it, and when you go to the site after the book is done, again, it'll be a resource site about all these different links and, like sites to stay away from, sites that that are scams, just how to really organize, where do you find resources that we speak of in the book. We're going to be that resource site. So yes, we do crypto. I don't do it to the degree you do. I have started helium mining. I have a helium mining operation in Northern Nevada, Northern California, which is very interesting. And it's not a direct sales company. It's ours. We're building from scratch with engineers. Very cool, because that'll be a data, that'll be a huge data tech play. When my son came home from Christmas, Mike, Logan, he's like, Mom, you have got to get with it. I said, what do you mean get with it? I said, he said, why aren't you doing NFTs yet? Because he had already dabbled in them. And I'm going to come back to where I know the kids are going to be with all this. And I have these beautiful lions that had painted in Africa on our wall. And he's like, he just loves the art. And he's, why don't you wrap up an NFT in that? And when they buy an NFT, they get a bunch of books and put the book launch and the NFT together. I said, because I don't know how to do that. And he got online and he said, let's go look at Gary Vee's site. And he said, that's a smart contract, Mom. And he started showing me how it works. And I'm like, done, we're going to go do that. So yes, we have a whole NFT series. I have a $100 Courageous Lion, a $500 Royal, $1,000 Noble, and a $15,000 Majestic. The Majestic is my mentoring program that we tucked in, and we're doing a huge book launch. I think we're the first one to do this level of launch with a very limited edition of NFTs. So I'm the first to say I have hired experts to do this with me. We're actually partnering with experts. We're doing a minting on the 18th of May. We have right now, of all the lions we've sold, we'll mint 280 something as of this morning. So we'll mint, our goal is to get to about 500 of them. And yes, and here's what I'm telling parents that are like me that don't know. This is where those younger kids, my son's already been into it, so I'm going to let him continue. And all this will be in his name, his accounts, his wallets. I'm doing generational wealth anyway. When his sister's old enough, it'll move to her. Absolutely about it. So I'm using it as a generational wealth play to get the kids and parents back together. So they should be talking about money anyway. To your point, I have an 18-year-old, a 21-year-old, 24-year-old millionaires in crypto trading. I have a new 23-year-old that just joined our community, is actually training how to actually do the day-to-day trades and then out to fiat cash flow and how to live. So he quit his job. He's so cute. He quit his job. And he said, I only need a little month to live because I live in an apartment. I'm still a single dude. I'm going to figure out how to have my base bills paid by trading crypto. And he's crushed it. Now he's, starting to train other people how he did what he did. So I think, like I know, Mike, this is not a fad. It's not a maybe. It's happening. It is so fun. Like I'm having a lot of fun learning it, but I got to say we touch it. And then you're going to come over back to my sites and stuff to learn more about it as we mint. So
again, you don't spend a ton of time on it, but I'm just curious about your thoughts on, where it's headed, because when we're talking about kids, again, my daughter, you're a 15-year-old, I have a 16-year-old. Yeah. And I talked to her about, where the world is going. She's not big on TikTok, but she's on TikTok or whatever. And I'm like, listen, you need to pay attention to NFTs. Yeah. You need to pay attention to crypto. When we talk about fiat currency, do you think that there will be a point in time, especially for the kids, where there will no longer be cash, like physical bills or coins? Or do you think, or do you think it's going to be there for a long time? I'm just curious, like what your thoughts are.
I think it's going to be there longer than most people think.
Okay.
I think there's a wave of people who are really pushing for it to be gone. It was interesting yesterday. I met with a bunch of very high level accountants who are, actually teaching the classes from the IRS. So, it's not just the IRS. Every tax division in every country, I'm married to a Canadian, so like Canada Revenue, like all of them want to block this because it's not trackable. You don't know what you're buying. So there's a part of me, like I've gone all the way to, you map that out, there's a really dark side. It's also why the cartels are they're thriving in the world right now because no one knows where that money's, you can't track it, so I don't have mixed feelings about it personally. So I'm just watching, but like you said, I think your advice is like, be aware, like you have to be very involved and very aware. I'm in everything, as you know. I can't be the millionaire maker and stay in front of my clients to not touch all asset classes. In fact, I'm updating the books from my early, my investing book, Wealth Cycles, Mike, was published in 2008. We didn't have cannabis. And I own cannabis licenses here in Nevada. We didn't have crypto. We didn't have NFTs. So there's a lot of assets. So we're updating even those books as we relaunch this book, because those books, I shouldn't say they're outdated, like the stock and block, real estate, gas and oil, like that stuff's all like just solid, but there's a lot of stuff that's changed. So I think that I think fiat's going to be around for a while. I think it's going to be quite the fight before any country lays down their control.
Yeah, that makes sense. Let's talk about debt for a second.
I love that one. I love that.
So,
I love debt.
School of thought of the way I grew up, right? It's, don't go in debt, don't use credit cards, always pay cash for stuff. If you're going to buy a house, this old school kind of mentality. I just, what are your thoughts on debt? How do we leverage debt? How do we use debt? Should we go into debt? Like what should we do?
So I know old school, I'm going to call them millionaires, that, their goal is to be debt free. Right now with money, and now money's getting a little more expensive, right, as interest rates go up a little bit, but for the most part, it's still pretty cheap money. So when you can have really cheap money, a mortgage, for example, 2, 3, 4, even 5%, but you know how to invest where you're making 10, 15, 20, 30, 40%. Why would you spend, like use an example of a house, say you have $1 million house, right? Or even a $500,000 house. Why would you put $500,000 into one asset? Yeah, you have some deductions and things like that, but not really. Why don't you just put, even if you want to feel a little safe and pay half, but why put that 250 in one place that can't cash flow? Take the 250, go invest it so you're making more money and start. So I teach a lot about the arbitrage of interest because I don't think that's been spoke about, which is why people don't get it. But good debt, like I bought a laundromat for 2% interest on 200,000, and the bank said to me, the bank gave me the money at 2% because I know how to talk to a bank. They said, well, you have 200,000. I said, I know, but that 200,000 is making over 20%. So I don't want to pull it when I can get it from you. I've made you a ton of money by putting my deposits here. So I teach, down to that level of how do you have a conversation with a bank to get more, especially those of you who are making 60, 70, 80,000 or more. 80,000, here's an amazing statistic, Mike. If you make 80,000 or more in the United States, you're in the top 25% of income earners. That's how low that number is. That's top 25. That's like a really low number. So I don't think people realize your deposit makes the money at the bank's a ton of money. So, it's going to be interesting with crypto. I just have to kind of loop back to that. It just occurred to me too. Without that arbitrage and how that makes money, it'll be interesting to see how lending and good debt occurs against crypto. And I know that you can do some of that already, but it's going to be interesting because I use a ton of good debt. If you really think about it in the real estate space, and you and I both come from that a lot, right? What's OPM? OPM is other people's money. That's debt. So if you can't get the loan you want to go out and get hard money. I won't borrow for less than 15. So you're going to pay me 15%. I'll take that all day long, plus, a couple points. Or you're going to go really work on your credit cards, your credit score, and go get yourself a 2, 3, 4, 5, worst case, 5% loan. So I'm a massive fan of good debt. I don't think you should be out of debt when you really understand debt and responsibility. Even my son just taught it. He stood up and he said, Mom, you're not thinking. He said, here's an exact example of, like, this was at Georgia Southern. He said, when you use your debit card and you go to the bar, you're taking the money and you get mischarged, which happens frequently, or people put things on your tab. That money comes right out of your bank account. You have no recourse. If he said, I use my American Express, and I call American Express and say I had a fraud alert or whatever he had, within 24 hours, he'll have a new card. They'll deal with the problem. And he's on with his life and he's using their money for 30 days. He pays it all off and he goes again. I'm a massive fan of credit cards and debt. And it's totally opposite of what you've been taught, and only responsibly used. For irresponsible use, like everyone, I'm not a fan. But we do a deep dive in why credit cards and credit and good debt is it's a wealth tool if you use it properly.
As we're talking about debt, I think about, risk, right? And, like we've taken a lot of big risks in our career. Some worked out, some haven't, right? But that's just the nature of business. But our personalities are a little similar. I'm starting to get some, I don't know, anxiety as I think about some of the risks. But anyway, so let's talk about risk for the average everyday person. How does one look at a potential? See, here's the thing too, is there are still so many scammers out there. There are still so many people. Hey, I just was on Clubhouse where we wanted someone, I 4X your money, all these other things. When someone has, I don't know, let's say someone has $5,000, they can do something with it.
Yep.
How do they mitigate risk? What are some of the key things to look at in a business deal or some sort of deal where they think that they can put their money to work?
Okay, so I'm going to answer the debt question. The reason why you and I could take so many risks, I'm going to say, is because you and I are high income earners. We know how to produce cash in a dime. Like we've learned those techniques. And the reason I say it so specifically is if you're out there saying, yeah, well, you're Mike and you're Loral. No, you are. I was a farm girl from Nebraska. You didn't grow up with money either. We learned techniques. We got knowledge on how to create income. So I think with debt, whether it's a small amount of debt or buying something, or it's the big things we've done sometimes, your ability to recover an income is so pivotal to that decision. Is can you create more cash if it doesn't work? And that I talk to most families about that. I think that's a pivotal part. As far as scammers, oh my gosh, like I just had a woman a couple of weeks ago call in and say, you owe me $16,200 and I finally found you on the internet. I said, whoa. So your role. I said, I don't even know, you're not even in my database. So there's so many scammers. And so somebody took my game, right? So up there, that's the board game over there. There's my game, the Millionaire Maker. And they ripped off my brand and they said, the millionaire.game maker. Right. And so they got that site, and it was a scam for this Forex whole scam. And anyway, she got baited, and they take my videos off YouTube and they paste them over here. And so, we coached her out of it, but it's gone. It's international money. It's a scam. She will never recover it. It's untraceable. They did it through the blockchain. They were brilliant how they did it, but my God, you're right. It's so bad out there right now. So I always say you got to find the real person. Like, man, I wouldn't do any of that. I find real humans. I talk to real humans. You can do background checks on real humans. I'm probably super conservative because I'm watching my clients get scammed. Forex crap on the internet, crypto crap. I mean, direct sales companies, they're up one day, take a bunch of money, have a big opening, and they're down the next day. It's rough. So I am back to old school. I don't know if you have any better techniques, but I want to talk to a human. I want to know they're a company. I mean, for me, I'm having a great time right now because I'm 25, plus years of sustainability. So people know I've been around. I got buildings. I mean, you can walk in my office. I got real stuff. So I want to know I'm dealing with a real human in a real company. And if you can't find it, move on. There's plenty of choices. It's never going to be the only deal.
Right. So
I probably have backed up to more conservative because I'm watching my clients. I'm just saying, would you please read my books? Like, there's a group of us that actually know what we're doing. And there's a whole bunch. There's less of us that know what we're doing. Wouldn't you agree? Than the scammers and the people who don't know what they do. I say they talk, but they don't walk. We walk and talk. And there's just too many. And I think you really got to do some due diligence.
I know you don't have a ton of time, but earlier when you first came on, you had used the term side hustle. You talked about shoveling, driveways, which I did when I was a kid, or you said I think you even used the term virtual lemonade stand. So we obviously know, look, if you go to makeyourkidsmillionaires.com, pick up the book there. You have tons of different bonuses. The book is coming out May 10th, depending on when you're listening to this. No matter what, when you go there, you're just going to get a lot of free resources anyway. Again, it's makeyourkidsmillionaires.com. That's also the title of the book. So let's talk about side hustle. There's so many side hustles for people out there. Do you have a top 3, 4, 5 list of like, hey, you know what? If you're broke, if you're this, you're that, blah, 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 and you're a kid or even a parent, like this is what I would do if I were you?
Yep. Yep. In fact, when you go get the bonuses, the first bonus you're going to get immediately is called Put More Cash in Your Pocket. It's me reading 8 hours of how to consume and put a 21st century lemonade stand up. So in 8 hours, I mean, at the most, I mean, you'll get the memo. And inside of there's 1,000, I call them, you know, in my term, I call it cash machine. I'm only using side hustle because that's the new sexy thing to use. Because I actually don't buy side hustle. I think it is a beginning thing. But if you're an adult listening, you don't side hustle, you hustle. It's just as much. I mean, it's a different kind of level of work. So, I mean, I love like the virtual quick supports. Like my daughter's a great little video editor and she knows how to build like calendars and cards. Like my son's graduating Georgia Southern. She created his invitation. She's going to create his thank you. And then when he gets his diplomas, you know, I pay her to create these beautiful, like big, you know, we'll buy the big frames and, you know, organize like, so she loves doing all of that. I need somebody to do it. I'm going to hire somebody to do it. Might as well hire your kid. So first of all, you look at what are you doing inside your household, like that you're paying somebody else to do, or that needs to get done. Because this is not about about given an allowance. The other, like that's one of the next bonuses that I give Mike is never pay your kid an allowance, ever. Make them earn it. So there's a thing they have to do to live in the house, like clean your room and, you know, do help with the dishes. Like that's just because you stock and block live in the house. Then if you want to make money, I have a whole process how you design your monthly income. For the parents that are having a little rough time out there, that's not just about the kids, it's about you. How do you decide hustle? I like service-based businesses, like our service things, because you can come and go. Tutoring, handyman work, gardening work. For mothers, I have a woman in Salt Lake City. She has 9 kids, homeschool. She doesn't want to do a lot. And I said, yeah, but what do you love the most? She said, being a mother. I said, then every mother needs a mother. How I raise successful kids as a single mom is I got another mom, a young grandma. And she was with us like forever because she loved being a mom. And then her kids went on and I grabbed her and I said, help me. I've never been a mom, number one. I need a nanny. I'm a single, like I'm going to keep doing my thing and you're going to come with us. She traveled all over the world with us. So she's got this cool business. I have some firefighters in Chicago. I love this business. It's called Hubby for Hire. And so they're couples that are both firefighters. So when the women, it's several couples, I don't know how many actually stuck with it, but it's still a legit company. It's called Hubby for Hire. It's the honey-do list that never gets done. So the women book the work and the men on their off time, because firefighters really cool schedules. They'll go do the painting, the baseboard cleanup, whatever their skill set is. They'll, you know, do landscaping. They'll, you know, there's just a ton of stuff. When you really think about what do people need, they need help. Dog walk. I have a dog walker in my Millionaire Maker book. She became a millionaire. We took her from dog walker. You'll love this. To house manager. I said, if you have the keys to someone's kingdom called their home, and you're going to go get their kid called the dog, what else could you do for them? Why don't you get their dry cleaning? Why don't you pick up their groceries? Why don't you food prep for them? Why don't you clean their house? Or set up a house cleaner? You don't have to do the work. Just set up the house. So she still runs a huge house management company in San Francisco. So we went from dog walker to house manager. So we just make stuff up. You know, that's probably the funnest thing I actually love to do is making up new titles, new distinctions, fun things, direct sales. I'm a huge fan of direct sales. In this environment, direct sales companies, there's only one that I know that is price increased, but everyone has price fixed. So if you want to stop, you know, giving all your money to Walmart, Amazon, all the big companies, then go buy through a direct sales company for a minute, or continue and you get paid back. Like I could go on and on and on. But kids, I mean, you got so many kids having YouTube channels and, you know, supporting makeup. I love, you know, all the make jewelry. I got tons of people making jewelry and selling it online. My daughter's going to make a ton of money with Poshmark because she grew about, 7 inches. She's 5'10" now. She's going to sell all her cool clothes and make a ton of money over the summer. I don't know, whatever you want to do.
Someone picks up the book. They go to makeyourkidsmillionaires.com. I could keep you here all day.
I know. I don't have an off button, so we have to we turned it on. I'm not turning it off.
So they go to makeyourkidsmillionaires.com. They pick up the book. They get the bonuses. And there's going to be a bunch of different resources out there, but maybe kind of put some thoughts into their head about, hey, you know what, maybe I can do this. I love that of like, oh, you're a dog walker. Oh, okay. Well, what else can you do? I think a lot of people don't think that way. They just say, oh, well, I'm just going to stay in my lane. But too many people do that and they just don't progress in life. So, boy, you're awesome. By the way.
Thank you. And I want to say, those of you who go over to Amazon or Books A Million or Barnes & Noble, wherever you go to get the book, you can go anywhere. Just email in the receipt. It's contact. The email's down at the bottom of the webpage. Just email us a receipt and we'll still give you the bonuses. So, because we don't know that you're a buyer, but if you go out to a bookstore and just send us receipt and say, hey, I bought your book, we'll send you out the bonuses anyway, because they're just so valuable and they get you going. This put more cash in your pocket, never pay your kids an allowance. It's the investment free app, like how to get started with $50. Like you can start investing for that as little as that much money. And it's real. And we just beat Robinhood on that. Like it is such a great, Robinhood has better marketing. We have a better tool. It's called iFlip. So we're going to give a free app to everybody to get started investing. What else is out there? Kids financial filing account. We just have a lot. So many bonuses. You don't want to miss them. So I don't really care where you get the book, but I got to know about it. So you got to send that into it.
Just make it easy. Just go to makeyourkidsmillionaires.com. That's simple. Just go there. You can get the book there. I mean, it's the same as getting it on Amazon. It's the same exact thing. Go to makeyourkidsmillionaires.com. Again, we've been on with Loral Langemeier. Look, I believe that it's some of the best experiences are the experiences of others. This woman's been at it for a long time, although she doesn't look like it, but she has, and she really knows what she's talking about. She's diversified beyond belief. She mentioned, cannabis, oil, real estate, doing a lot of different things. She just knows what she's doing, and she's helping other people. So if you'd like some more information about Loral, again, in her latest book, go to makeyourkidsmillionaires.com. It's not just for the kids. It's actually for both. So again, go to makeyourkidsmillionaires.com. My name is Mike Alden. That's Loral Langemeier, and we'll see you soon.
Appreciate you.
Today's episode is brought to you in part by Wicked Happy. The way you live your life depends on your outlook, and theirs is simple. Be Wicked Happy. Wicked Happy provides you with apparel to make you smile. So if you want to be wicked happy and you want to look wicked cool, then visit wickedhappy.com, and at checkout, enter in the code RADIO for an additional 15% off your entire order. Again, visit wickedhappy.com, apparel to make you smile.